Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Helmet. My name is Mason.
And this is Ian.
And this is the intro I forgot to do on Monday.
I thought so, but I didn't want
Yeah.
to stop you.
Totally forgot to do it. It's whatever. I mean, it's not going to be weird. We already know who we are. You already know who we are.
Unless that was your first episode, then I'm sorry.
Then I am very sorry. But we said our names in the outro. So you should know who we are by now.
If they listen that long.
You're just depressing me, Ian. Anyways, today we're doing draft coverage, just a couple of quick updates. Because of free agency, I'm not going to be doing a projected pick through a mock draft. Once the NFL draft gets closer to coming around, maybe the week before, I'm going to re-release a new mock draft, like a 2.0. We'll go through all the picks then, go through kind of rapid fire, explain everything. Also, because of all the changes, we're going to finish everything up in 2 episodes. So 13 through 20, as far as picks, will be today, and then we'll do the playoff teams next Thursday. But first, we need to start off with some huge NFL news, being that free agency happened.
And trades.
And trades.
Whoa.
So I'm just going to give a quick a rundown of some of the biggest free agents that signed. Le'Veon Bell's with the Jets. Trey Flowers is with the Lions. Earl Thomas is with the Ravens. Nick Foles goes to the Jags. Landon Collins goes to the Redskins. C.J. Mosley to the Jets. Anthony Barr to the Vikings. He stayed. Sheldon Richardson to the Browns. Tyrann Mathieu to the Chiefs. Preston Smith to Green Bay. Trent Brown now goes to Oakland. Dante Fowler Jr. stays with the Rams. Mark Ingram is now going to the Ravens. It's been absolute madness. Malik Jackson is now with the Eagles. John Brown signs with the Bills, as does Cole Beasley. It feels like no one's staying anywhere anymore. Cameron Wake's with the Titans. What do you think the biggest move so far has been?
Well, the biggest move to me so far has probably been... wow, there's a lot of moves that are going on there. But, I mean, the clear, obvious one that everyone wants to talk about is Le'Veon Bell. And I don't really want to do that because I think it's slightly overrated to have a running back up there that high. But I think that the Ravens are really going to be losing C.J. Mosley. They should have paid him. And now that the Jets have C.J. Mosley, that defense is going to take a huge, huge leap in the right direction and really help out the rookie, or now second-year quarterback on defense.
Especially if they draft a top 3 like edge rusher.
Like we predicted earlier. So if that happens, they are looking like they might have a chance against the Patriots to lose at least 2 games.
Yeah. Yeah, the Jets look good. The only thing I would worry about with them is the fact they're in the AFC East and they're playing against the Patriots.
That's the main thing, but they've got him for 5 years now, and he's a very good middle linebacker.
They look really good. I think the most important move so far has been, I mean, there's quite a few of them. Tyrann Mathieu going to the Chiefs probably had the biggest impact because it allowed them to cut safety Eric Berry, who was cut yesterday,
Yeah.
I want to say. That's a huge one in terms of impact. Trey Flowers leaving New England is big, but then they signed Michael Bennett back. So they're allowing someone else to pay Trey Flowers, the Lions, to pay $16 million for him, and they're getting Michael Bennett for like what, $8 million?
Nothing really.
Yeah.
And they also got rid of 2 of their players, which the Dolphins picked up. I think Dwayne Allen and Eric Rowe, like a third-string cornerback or something, and they just rebuild and replace. It doesn't matter to them.
Is ridiculous. Some of the notable free agents that are left: Ezekiel Ansah, KJ Wright, Ndamukong Suh, Ronald Darby, Clinton Dix. Tevin Coleman also just signed with the 49ers
Just signed
yesterday.
with the 49ers.
Justin Houston is also still available. Out of these guys, who do you think is the most valuable?
Ooh. It really depends because especially I'm going to say Clinton Dix is probably the most valuable out of those just said because age-wise he's still young enough to make a difference and has shown that he is a solid player both in Green Bay and for a short time in the Redskins.
He had a fantastic year in Washington, actually. He did great.
The half of the year or whatever.
The half of the year, yeah.
He played lights out both teams, and I'm surprised he actually isn't signed yet.
I am a little bit too, but we've seen good safeties like Eric
Weddle,
Reed, Kenny Vaccaro just stay on the free market for a while.
That's right.
Yeah, Eric Weddle going to the Rams also is crazy.
I was saying like this might be a too much safety market for him, so he's gonna dip a little bit. But he's a quality player that should be signed soon.
Ezekiel Ansah, I would be surprised if he actually goes anywhere but Detroit. I think Detroit's going to sign him up big time. He's a big pass rusher.
Didn't they just get Trey Flowers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no way they're gonna bring him back.
They have to. He was a first-round pick for them. You got to keep your guys if you're going to be a successful franchise.
True.
All right. So going into draft coverage, we're going to start with number 13 that we should have done last week, but we didn't get around to. Ian, the Miami Dolphins. Tell me what they need.
Well, they need a lot, but mainly they are probably going to tank for Tua, so they need offensive line, and with such a great defensive draft, any edge rush will help. And if they want to go other than those two positions, quarterback, unless you want to tank for Tua next year.
I can agree with that. I have defensive line, quarterback, and offensive line. They definitely need to get deeper at a pass rusher position, and I think it's obvious to everyone now Ryan Tannehill is not the answer.
Gasp.
Yeah,
Or Brock
he's-
Osweiler.
Or Brock the Rock Osweiler is not the answer either.
No.
Quarterback is interesting. You can talk about tanking for Tua. I feel like there are going to be a couple teams in the mix there, but they would be one of them that I would be interested in. The Redskins being another that could tank for him because, let's be real, Case Keenum.
Ooh.
Case
I'm sh-
Keenum.
Hey, if there are any Case Keenum fans out there, let us know down in the comments below.
Shameless plug. Yeah, Case Keenum's not a franchise quarterback. That's the problem. And
Nope.
then
He might get you to 7-9.
the Washington Redskins will do worse this year than they did last year because they're missing Alex Smith. Alex Smith is an improvement over Case Keenum
And Colt McCoy.
and Colt McCoy. I've also got offensive tackle there because if you're gonna tank for Tua, you might as well start building a solid offense
Build
around
around
him.
him. Yeah.
Next up, number 14, our hometown Atlanta Falcons. They made a couple of moves recently, grabbing 2 guards, Jamon Brown and James Carpenter. They finished 7-9 this past year. They were 4-9, went on a 3-game win streak to end the year, which is
Obvious.
nice. Dealt with a lot of injuries. Ian, what do you have them taking?
Well, originally I had them needing guards, but I still think it would be nice to take maybe a young guard, maybe not in this round, but in the later rounds, but mainly edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher. I love Tack, and we're keeping Vic Beasley for another year. So maybe add someone in there because we lost Brooks Reed, and then possibly running back, even though I don't think the value's here at 14th.
Yeah, I can agree. My list is defensive line, cornerback, running back.
Ah.
Yeah.
I forgot we cut everybody there, too.
Yeah, definitely pass rushers. It's been ugly. The Falcons haven't had a good pass rusher since Vic Beasley's explosion in 2016, and before that, John Abraham.
Yeah, I was about to say, and even when Vic Beasley had the 16.5 sack season, we were still like
we were middle of the
20s.
pack.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
horrible.
We need a premier pass rusher. It's bad right
Adrian
now.
Claiborne, 6 sacks in one game.
Yeah, exactly. We need someone there. The secondary has been fine, but we haven't been able to get to the passer. Cornerback, because we cut everyone. I don't think if Greedy fell to us, we should take him though, because we don't need a 6'1" cornerback where we are. Because next year, Isaiah Oliver and Desmond Trufant are going to be our starters, and so if we ended up taking a cornerback in the first, we would need someone who could play the slot. And I don't think I know Greedy's talented, but he's an outside corner.
Yeah, he's not a slot guy.
If Rocky Sin was available in the second round for us, or if like DeAndre Baker or Byron Murphy fell to the second round and we were able to grab one of those guys, those would be great. You know, both 5'10", 5'11", they both have nimble
put him
feet.
in the slot.
They can
nickel,
play the
yeah.
slot, yeah. And then eventually they'd be able to take over on the outside when I think we eventually cut Trufant, which I
Or
think
he
is
retires.
or he reti-
Depends.
I don't know how long the Falcons are going to keep him. He's good. He's a quality corner.
If they let you wear the number 21, they like you.
Exactly. And then running back, Tevin Coleman's gone.
Yeah.
2 years, $10 million. I want to talk about that for a second. I thought Tevin's price tag was going to be way more than that. How can
did
we not keep him
too.
on 2 years, $10 million?
I don't understand that either.
Did he leave because of playing time?
I think that he left because of playing time and because Shanahan probably offered him, hey, look, you're probably going to be the starting guy over here. Because,
Over Jerick McKinnon?
yes, Jared McKinnon didn't play at all last year.
Because he was injured.
He was injured. Tevin Coleman's not coming off an injury. Will probably get the starting role because of how familiar he is with the Shanahan system and how well they did that first year
I
or
could
that second year.
I could definitely see a running back by committee there, kind of like what Philly's doing right now with
And that's-
J.J.
That's where
Corey Clement.
that's where Tevin Coleman comes out and like shows his true colors is when he's not the lead back.
I can agree with that.
It's him and Freeman that made the show, so now possibly him and McKinnon.
Yeah. Going on number 15, the Washington Redskins. Ian, they finished 7-9 this past year. They started off okay, but similar to the Falcons, they had a lot of injuries. Alex Smith went down. They lost Darius Geis before the season. He's going to be interesting this next year. What do you have them needing?
Mainly, they need to help that offensive line so that their quarterbacks don't get injured. Because I think At one point, even Colt McCoy got injured, and then they had to sign Mark Sanchez. And that's not a good sign when you have to sign him. So offensive line and now safety, because they did let HaHa Clinton-Dix go and didn't pick him up again for whatever reason. And quarterback, if you wanted in this position. Case Keenum's not your answer. So quarterback, if they like Kyler Murray, if he's still around, it just depends.
Yeah. I've got pass rusher, offensive tackle, and then safety because you lost HaHa Clinton-Dix, which is big. And this goes back really to what they're losing. Pass rusher, they just lost Preston Smith. He was a big part of their pass rush. Ryan Kerrigan's not getting any younger. The pass rush in this class is deep. And so if you can grab one of those guys, then you need to grab one now. I didn't put quarterback up there partially because they signed Case Keenum, who I still don't think is a starter, but you're paying him starter money, so he's going to start. And I also think they'll probably just tank for Tua. Or if they can't get him, then they're going to get the guy out of Clemson, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
He's going to be good. And then offensive line, that line looked horrible.
They were injured half the year, but
even when Alex Smith was healthy, they were getting pass rushed and just they were getting murdered. I think they definitely need to improve up on front. Next up, the Carolina Panthers come in at 16. They finished also at 7-9, but they finished below the Falcons. Yeah, they have a higher up pick.
Don't ask questions here.
I like it. Hey, I will always take it.
It's because we lost to the Redskins.
What do you have the Carolina Panthers needing?
The Panthers, they need offensive line help and now because Cam Newton keeps on getting injured, and he had to basically sit out half the season because he couldn't throw 20 yards down the field. That's not what you need for your starting quarterback. You need to protect Cam because you're not in a position to pick up a quarterback here with Cam Newton and how much money you're paying him. Cam's probably your franchise guy till the end for the Panthers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they want to go anything else, they could go linebacker because they did let Thomas Davis walk, didn't they?
Yeah, he's
Like-
with the Chargers now. That's
Yeah,
been really
he's already-
underrepresented. Yeah,
Already been signed. You let him walk, and he's going to go out there and play for a team, possibly help them win the AFC. But you need someone young next to Kuechly so that he can start teaching him, just like Thomas Davis taught Kuechly.
yeah, I can agree with that. My top needs are linebacker, defensive tackle, and offensive line. Linebacker definitely just because you lost Thomas Davis, and he's been such an important part of your line. Not your line, but your linebackers. And even with Luke Kuechly, I know they're trying to raise up Shaq Thompson, I want to say. You need a linebacker in that core. Defensive tackle, the Panthers have been known to draft some defensive tackles pretty high in the first round. I don't know if there are any great ones at where they'll be because I feel like most of the good pass rushers will already be gone by the time they're picking. We'll see. And then offensive line, like you said, Cam was just getting absolutely annihilated on what felt like every play. It would be good if they were able to pick up an offensive line here. Maybe like Juwan Taylor out of Florida, Greg Little for Ole Miss, either of those guys. So moving on, the Cleveland Browns at number 17. Whew. I mean, do they really even need anything anymore?
I don't think so. I mean, they kind of trade for OBJ, got rid of Jabril Peppers.
Yeah,
They won this offseason so far.
they finished 7-8-1. I mean, Jabril Peppers was pretty good this past year, though. He was decent.
He was good,
Getting rid of him is not
And he
necessarily
was-
a good thing.
but it was really good because they got someone probably better in return for offense, felt.
Yeah.
And they might be looking at a safety now in the draft,
Exactly.
especially at that 17th range where it's like all the defensive ends and defensive line members are probably taken already. And now you get into that weird tier where it's like, all right, is this a cornerback or is he safety help? And,
Yeah.
that's what they might want.
And I'm going to go ahead and change gears. For some reason, I saw the Browns picking 17th. They traded this pick in the OBJ trade
Oh,
to the
that's
Giants.
right. They just did.
So this will be the Giants' second selection. They would have picked 6th first.
Well, I think the Giants need a wide receiver now.
That's fair enough. So you have them needing a wide receiver.
Yes, they will need a wide receiver and offensive line help because they don't want to get rid of Eli, so you got to protect him.
I can agree with that. Either wide receiver or offensive line. I mentioned pass rusher earlier in one of our first installments. I think they could definitely use an offensive lineman or a pass rusher. It depends on what pass rushers are available. So we'll see. If I want to say Metcalf drops here, that would be a good pickup for them. You can try to replace OBJ, but there's no guarantees. So now going to the 18th overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings. They also finished 7-8-1, if I'm correct. They finished 8-7-1. I'm sorry, flip those.
You're close to correct.
Yeah. They finished with a winning record. First team in the draft that has a winning record. missed the playoffs, but they still had a decent season. Dalvin Cook started to explode there towards the end. What do you have them needing?
Well, I think that they need a little bit more linebacker help because they did lose. Well, no, they didn't. He stayed with him. Barr stayed with him, right? Or was
yeah.
it? Okay. Barr did stay
Barr
with
stayed
him.
with him.
He initially signed with the Jets, but they do need linebacker help because besides Barr and a few other guys that have gotten older, and I think one person actually pulled himself out midway of the season due to mental health.
Yeah.
And you need linebacker help, and then quarterback now, I guess. I don't know what they're doing. And then offensive line.
Yeah, Minnesota's a bit of a complex place. I've got defensive line, offensive tackle, and tight end. Defensive line, definitely. They were a good defense this past year, but you can never have too many pass rushers, and this is one place I would probably switch defensive line and offensive tackle here. I think offensive line is probably the biggest need for Minnesota right now. We watched their offensive line practically crumble, and they lost. What's the name of the guard they're losing? They lost one of their guards in free agency. I can't think of his name. He was a starter for them.
Must not have been that important. I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, definitely that. And then tight end, Kyle Rudolph is getting a lot older, and we saw his production start to slow down this past year. So it would be good for them to get someone to train him up, almost in an Antonio Gates and Hunter Henry role. So that would be a good pick for them if there's someone available there, if they just don't like any of the defensive line and offensive tackle prospects. Trucking on ahead, one of the last two teams in this episode, the Tennessee Titans. I think the Titans, we can say, surprised us all with their record, or at least I didn't expect them to be good. They were 9-7 this year, including a 6-2 record at home. Ian, what do you have them needing to get better in the AFC South?
Well, I don't know. This is a weird team because they kind of need help with quarterback because of how often Mariota's injured, but then again you have the Blaine train right behind him. But just besides that, they need help on defense, so edge rushers, linebackers, and for fun, maybe a wide receiver. Once again, if Metcalf falls, or however you pronounce his name, I'm sorry, any wide receiver this is that range where it's like we might be able to pick you up.
Yeah, no, I've got tight end, wide receiver, and pass rusher. I think tight end is definitely their biggest need right now because we saw as soon as Delaney Walker went down for them, their offense stalled out. And I can't even tell you the guys who replaced him. And I played fantasy and drafted Delaney Walker, so I went straight for his backups. I can't even tell you who replaced him. They were atrocious. The tight end game for them was immediately lost on the season. So they need a tight end, either like a Noah Fant or a TJ Hawkinson, both out of Iowa. A wide receiver would be a big need. They need offensive playmakers, really. That's what they've been struggling with. Their defense has been solid. Their running backs have been okay, but they don't really have offensive playmakers for Marcus Mariota to use. And then a pass rusher. Their pass rush was a little was good. It was good, but you can always use an extra pass rusher. So if you don't have those offensive playmakers, which I think you really need, then you can go after a pass rusher. The last team for this episode, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just missed the playoffs at 9-6-1. They were that close. Had an okay year, lots of drama. No Le'Veon Bell. Antonio Brown was complaining about everything. James Conner stepped into a role nicely for them. So, Ian, what do you have them needing?
Well, they kind of the two people that you just mentioned, wide receiver and running back is their main need. Running back a little bit less, but wide receiver is needed because Juju Smith-Schuster can't do it all alone. Who's another receiver in that room?
They have see. I hate that you brought this on me because I know the guy who's there.
Did he used to be part of the Raiders?
Maybe. Not Martavius Bryant.
No, I know he Switzer.
No.
Now we're gonna.
Shoot,
okay.
you keep
I'm gonna
talking.
keep talking. Don't worry about this, guys.
I'm gonna give you this name.
But besides wide receiver and running back, offensive line, because I believe Pouncey's getting up there in age, and he says that he's gonna retire the same time that Big Ben does, and Big Ben's probably not gonna stay that much longer. His window's closing. And especially without the help of a top 3 wide receiver in Antonio Brown, he's going to need someone to help him just stay there just a little bit longer. He's not a mobile guy, but that would be the best thing that he could do.
I can agree with that. Sorry, I'm looking them up right now. James Washington, their second-round pick last year, the wide receiver out of
that's right.
Yeah, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma State. See, I knew there was a name there in my head. That would be the guy to fill in, but I can definitely understand why you'd want to grab a receiver there.
I mean,
yeah.
Do you have anyone else, like big-bodied receivers?
Not really. Ryan Switzer is still on there. Darius Hayward-Bay, just pulling up their depth chart. I also have wide receiver as their biggest need, though, so I can agree with you there. Losing Antonio Brown Juju's in that weird category. I almost put him with Mohamed Sanu. I think he could be a 1, but I think he's better fitted as a wide receiver 2 that looks like a wide receiver 1 when he plays wide receiver 2.
Yes. Or if the wide receiver 1's down for one game, he might have a decent one game,
Yeah. He's not a consistent threat. That's the problem. So I've got their biggest need being wide receiver, defensive end, and linebacker. I think linebacker is one of the big ones here. Obviously, Ryan Shazier was one of the best at his position when he was healthy. I don't know what he's going to look like after that injury. He's still recovering.
He is coming back, though.
He says he's coming back. It's not going to be this year.
No.
And he's been out of the game 2 years, 3 years now. Just even jumping back in is going to be really hard. I think even though it's going to be emotionally challenging, the Steelers need to jump in and grab a new linebacker. Because we saw how dangerous they were once they had a fast-flying linebacker. They were good. That defense was solid. They were beating up people. So if they're able to get someone, Devin Bush out of Michigan, I think would be an okay fit if they could pick him up. He's fast-flying. He'd be a good middle linebacker to lead their defense. And he's from Michigan, so he's used to the North.
Yee.
All right. Anything else you want to say about the draft or free agency?
It's crazy.
All right. Next episode, we're going to go through all the playoff teams from the 21st pick in the Seahawks to the 32nd pick being the New England Patriots. Until then, I'm Mason.
And this is Ian.
And this is Helmet to Helmet.